The first step in the clarinet is the reed. So normally you put it in your mouth to get it wet and soak it while you're putting the rest of the reed together, but for now I'm going to put it in the water, in a little cup of water so I can keep talking. So then you take the upper stack. The upper stack has these 4 keys here, and you press down on the 2 open keys, and then you take the lower stack, which has 4 keys but they're in a box shape, and you twist that in. So there's this little right here. See it move a little bit? Yeah, that needs to go over top of the other metal piece. And then switch hands, so the lower stack is in your right hand, and take the bell in your left hand and twist that onto the bottom. And then take the barrel and put that on. One end is smaller than the other, so you can only put it on one way. And then you take the mouthpiece and the ligature, and you put that on. And there's this hole here in the mouthpiece where the reed goes, and you just want to line that up with these 2 keys. Then you take your reed and you push the ligature up so it's loose, and then you slide the reed down under the ligature. There should just be a little tiny black line at the top of the reed, and that's how you know. You don't want the reed way up here, and you don't want the reed way down here. Just tip to tip, and then tighten the ligature. Just finger tight. So your hand position there, start with a C shape in both hands. Put the right thumb under the thumb rest and rest your fingers over these 3 keys, and then put, until you're pressing down in keys, you're not going to press these fingers down, you're just going to kind of rest them over. So the thumb goes over this tone hole, and these 3 fingers go over these tone holes. Then once you've got this shape, then you can flatten your fingers out a little bit to help cover up the keys for when you need to press them down. For your posture, sit towards the edge of the chair. Don't slouch over, sit up nice and tall. Keep your elbows off your legs and not pressed against your ribs. They should be nice and relaxed outwards. The bell, when you're playing, the bell of the clarinet should be out towards your knees. Yeah, so kind of at like a 45-degree angle if you want to go with math. For your embouchure, you're going to start with stretching your lower lip over your bottom teeth, like this. And then your reed is going to go rest on top of that. So the reed doesn't press exactly against the mouthpiece. And this amount of reed right here is what is going to be in your mouth with your lip below where the paper would be, right here, because the reed needs to be able to move. So then you place the reed on. When you have the mouthpiece in your mouth, your upper teeth are going to rest on top of the mouthpiece, not biting down, and just resting on top, and then your lips close around the mouthpiece evenly on all sides like you're making a drawstring. So lower lip, upper teeth. Alright, just make sure you don't bite the mouthpiece. Make sure your lower lip stays over the teeth, no kissing face. Don't do any of this. That's bad. And don't wrap your upper teeth, or your upper lip over your teeth. So once you get that set, you take a breath, and then you close the seal again, and you blow out through the clarinet. So, Alright, so if you don't get a sound on the first try, try again. And also try to use a little more air, or try using a little less air. Alright, that's the sound you want. Then when you articulate, And that's with all the keys open. You're just holding the clarinet. Another good way to do that is to hold the top of the clarinet with your hand and the bottom of your clarinet with your hand. So you can get a sound without having to worry about if you're pressing the keys when you're not supposed to. So once you get that going, then you can start to articulate, and it should be the tip of your tongue on the tip of the reed. And you're going to think of the syllable T. The air should be a steady stream, so you keep blowing nice and evenly, and then the tongue just chops that air up. So one analogy I like to use is you've got a stream of water, and you turn on the sink and you just run your hand through the water, and it cuts off the water in little segments, but the water is still on the whole time. That's what your air needs to be, and then your tongue is like the hand. Or if you've ever chopped something like a cucumber, so the cucumber is nice and whole, and then you chop it up, but it still stays sitting there. You just see the little lines. That's what your tongue is going to do. Alright, so one thing I didn't think of until I showed it to you, when you're playing, you don't want your fingers out here, because then when you need to move them, they can't get there fast enough. I just want to show you that that was an open G, alright? But when you're playing, don't actually do that. A couple problems with tonguing, anchor tonguing. When you get the tongue lodged when your tongue stays behind your lower teeth, and then you tongue using like the middle of your tongue. So that's not really a problem until you get older and you need to tongue faster, so just don't get in the habit now. A good way to figure out if you're tonguing in the right place, take an old reed and a non-toxic marker and color on the tip of the reed with the ink right here, and then when you play, the ink will come off onto your tongue, which is why it needs to be non-toxic, and you can see what part of the tongue is hitting the reed. Remember, it's got to be the tip of the tongue on the tip of the reed.